So we're holding on Tov Tesvo or Tov Dalet. We're dealing with the question: how is it that Moichas Timor, if we're going to say that it's Pnimis Akesa Mamish, and Al-Chapanim Malubish in Moichas Timor, which is Chochmas Timor, Pnimis Atik, then how can it be a mokeh for Chochma D'Atzilas? Can we say that Chochma D'Atzilas is Nimshach mi Moichas Timor, and Moichas Timor is as we saw Barichas in the previous chapters, the Mamucha Amiti is, which is Melubish Pnimis Atik. So how from Azam Adrega, which is Koilan, until Pnimis Atik, how can you have that be a mokeh to Chochma Geluya in Olam Atzilas? So the first church that we were Mavaya was the Indian of Cyrus. And we said that the Amshocha from Chochmas Timor to Chochma D'Atzilas is derech the concept of what we call Abba Yonek Mimazlo. And we saw that the Indian of Mazlolis is connected with the concept of Cyrus. So we saw that Cyrus is an Indian of Amshocha b'derech Dilu. In other words, it's a Ha'ora, but it's a Ha'ora Nivdeles, which comes b'derech Dilug, and we took the Moshel of the Kav, which comes b'derech Dilug Ratzimtzum. That's to say that even though the Kav mitzad Pnimiusay and mitzad Amitius Shorshoi, the Kav is Tfilas Anela, Dovuk Pim Koiroi, yet nonetheless it comes through the Indian, like the Cyrus, Eitzel Autumn, they come to the Hefsika Gilgoylas. And that causes in them a tremendous Indian of Dilug, V'Tzimtzum, Umiyut in the Etzem Giloi, in the Etzem Iskalas. Even though it's really Makusha Pim Koira. So that was how we explained that Moichas Timor is Einoch Anamik Pnimis Akesa. As if we're talking about a Giloi V'derech Ishtalshel or so, that a Harogil, then it would be hard to understand how from that you can have a Giloi of Chochma Ba'atzila. But Chochma is a Ino from the Matzias Musuyemas of a Koyach, and a Sphira called Chochma. So we saw that was the pure of the Vidakav is called Chuta Yakira in the Zohar Kodesh. Chut is indicative of a cow. And that was the biur, and then we went on to say Chochma mi Ayin Timotei. So we saw two biurim in that. One biur in the concept of Ayin was that the actual Ha'ora, which is Nimshach Cyrus, is only an initial Ayin. And then we saw another pshat Chochma mi Ayin Timotei from the Ayin Atzmi, the Mitis Indian of Ayin, which is Atik. And so, nonetheless, in both biurim, we see that Chochma Timotei, well, that's indicative of Matzias, Ayin from Matzias, and Geda of Hamtzoa, but Nimtzoa b'Pchinas Matzias. And therefore, it's Ayin Orech, like Gabi Chochmas Timor, and that was the union of Hamshocha Derech Cyrus, which so is Hamshocha b'derech Kefitza V'Dilu, which indicates Ayin Orech. And so that's what we're holding near the bottom of the Amud Ach. Now that's where we ask now our need for a further biur. We said that that's Beklolius, that's a biur of Adayin Einoi Mishyashe. I think that's where we're holding. Ach Adayin Einze Mishyashe. That doesn't yet settle clearly according to if we take into account all of the Inyonim. Be'inyan zeh, Shahari Yud Gimel Tikkunei Dikno, the Yud Gimel Midois Horachamim, which are called Tikkunei Dikno. What Tikkun means, the union of a Giloi, of a Hamshocha, and Dikno is the union of the Zokon, indicating the Cyrus of the Zokon. Behechreach shebahem meyeh mipchinas mahus Moichas Timor mamish. It's hard to say that these siders are with the normal understanding of siders, but they're just a inyan van a tilu, but they're ein aroich mamish, because we know that in these siders, albeit we call them tikune dikno, which indicates a inyan shel sayah, but we have to say that there's nimtzu behem mahus moichas timo mamish. Shaharei noida the yud gimel midas horachmim, shahen yud gimel tikune dikno, al yodom hu tikun kol hapagamim. Ba'ainu mishum sham shachosum mibchinas moichas timo. The yud gimel midas horachmim in Yonam is to be matakin the pagamim. There's a mavur in Tanya, we're now starting to learn Geras HaTshuva. It's also moving Geras HaTshuva, Geras HaKodesh in certain places. But we see that the inyan of the Yud Gimel Midas Rachamim is not just l'rachim in the inyan of Rachmanis, but it's also a tikkun. The Rachamim means that we are matakin and machzir the inyan le tikkune. That's what's going on, the mile of midas harachamim, of midas hachesed. That when there's a inyan from chesed, then all we're doing is just giving the person stam what he asked for, even though it may love davki be latachlis atoiv shelo. It's only toiv b'yois ha'arega. In other words, it's what you might call the fi bakashosei. Ilo inyan rachamim in Yonam is that you give in such a way that you also mishativ and koilel in that inyan for gvura, and you say that you're only giving under certain ifanim, certain ways, which will help him to realize this situation and to be matakin it. So the inyan of rachamim is really a tikkun. So therefore the inyan from rachamim comes from a very high mocker that it's not only a kilo soileach or nois and mokim to a tachtoin, but it's also matakin, easy inyanim shayu boivin bultirotzu by the matakin. And therefore they meet this inyan for rachmim, so that they are inyan for tikkun pagamim, then they must come from the atzmi mami. From l'mayla mikora nishtal shelo zayinyanim ki ein chovush matas atzmi beis asudim. The inyanim which are anyway shot to the ishtalshalas, bringing to the matzah of the Odom, it can't possibly be the inyanim which are attacking him, because that's where he's been good on the pagam. And say the ishtalshalas is where he's good on the pagam. And then we have to say that it's tikkun kol hapagamim that it must come mamish from the etzem madregas ha'atzmi itself. And therefore he said that's the inyan of the yud gimel tkuni dikno, but they come, mamish from the atzmi, and that's the amshoch is mimoichas timoa kemoishu mamish b'madragosei ha'atzmi. Hakamesh kosa b'yid Rabba daf kufrum at beis omad aleph kol tikuni dikna lo yishtachach el mimoicha de reisha. That all the tikuni dikna are not to be found or not to be misgala only from the moicha the ratio. What moicha the ratio means, the inyan of chokhmah, how it's found in Keser. In other words, chokhmah sheba Keser, what that's moicha stimo, moicha the ratio. But the is to be chokhmah stimo, molubish pnimis atik, like we learned before. Okay, nimshach mishom milui kol hapagamim. Not just that we're so evil the pagamim, but we're mamali or matachin all the pagamim. Tezehu deharei yadua da mitzvahs shorshem Gilgalta. What we saw that chokhmah stimoa is higher than Gilgalta. Because we saw that Gilgalta the inyan harotzen, v'ilo moichas stimoa the inyan from pnimis ha'oinek, pnimis ha'tainu. So there we said the mitzvahs in Yonam is rotzen. Therefore the inyan of the Gilgalta ha'chafya al moichas stimoa. So, albeit that's higher, but we saw it was a inyan chitzeni more. That's what the inyan of rotzen is bechlal. It's a gilui chitzeni like compared to the oinek. Not that it's a inyan from chitzenius in the sense that it's only just chitzenius, but its koyach is to be nimshach. Michutz la'etzem li inyanim she lamata mata. Well, that's the inyan harotzen. The inyan from tainu give the iskalos in the etzem. So we saw in this Bolio Perik Reish, the Tainug Elyoin, the Ha'oinig, Elyoin Meyasham, Bechinas Machif Levad, that in the Indian of Rotzen, wherever you get a Gila of Tainug, there's also a certain Ishkalas of the Indian of Rotzen, but it's only a Indian for Machif. It's not Nimshuk, Bechinas Pnimius Kemoya at Ha'oinig Atzmai. And therefore it's Nimshach, and the mitzvahs halaya lamata in yonim is makifim. Who beginners chitonius ho'oinig. Well, that in van oinig, which is kol in the union of the gugalta, kol in the union of the mitzvahs, that's only chitonius ho'oinig. However, the moichas timoa, shalom aleichem, bruchim abayim, but the moichas timoa, melubish beginners oinig va'elim beginners pnimiyas. Who begins Pnimis Ha'oinig. We saw earlier in the previous chapter that Davke in Chochmas Timoa is the Gila Pnimis Atik, but that's in from Pnimis Ha'oinig. V'yalkein alidei zeh mistakein ha'pagam shebamaisa ha'mitzvahs. Mikivan that the Oinig is higher than the Inyan HaRotzen, and it's Pnimiyos and Shai to the Atzmi more than is the Inyan HaRotzen. Therefore, those inyanim which are lacking in the Inyan HaRotzen, alidei the Inyan HaOinig, they can be mistaken, they can be literally corrected or made better through the Gila of the Oinig. And that's what we'll see a little bit later on down here, B'meshech HaOmud, the Rebbe says that the Emesa Inyan of all these Amshachas and all these inyanim connected with Moichas Timoa is really Yidden. Yeah, way up there on Moichas Timoa, you got the little Yidl. That's where he is. Because the Amitis in the Oinig is B'emes in the Neshamas. And Tefah, what happened? That's what we saw in Perek Kuf Tzadik Gimel, that amazing chapter that we learned earlier in the Hemshech. Moshe's Bulio Perek Kuf Tzadik Gimel. If we take the Amitis in the Oinig, how it is in the Etem, then the Rotzen is not Teifus Mokim. Now when we say it's not Teifus Mokim, we don't mean by Al Derech Vidinim and Head Tvisas Mokim, as explained over there. I mean Ein Tvisas Mokim in the sense that the Inyan of the Oinig is much more superior, and the Inyan of the Oinig literally takes the Etem and is mischaber with the Etem much more than the Inyan HaRotzen. That's what we mean, that the Rotzen is not Teifus Mokim. But he explained over there that the Maila of the Oinig, of the Rotzen, is not B'derech Eino Herder Tvisas Mokim.
Excuse me, I'm getting confused. We say that the sorrow is Amshaka from the
Moichas Timoa, yeah.
From the Moach.
Yeah, Moichas Timoa.
It's not from the Moach which is inside of our brain.
Inside your brain.
Inside of our
well,
skull.
if you're supposed to have a moach, then you got a brain. I don't know what's a moach inside your brain.
We have a brain which is inside of the skull.
Stop.
Inside of the skull is a brain.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
That is Nimshach the sorrow.
Yeah, that's right.
But that's but here we're talking about something which is higher than the brain and higher than the Gugolet and higher than.
Yeah, but that's the whole question. I mean, if you're just waking up, as they say, Shalom Aleichem, that's what we've been talking all the way down. That even though Moichas Timoa is lower than the Gilgulta, it's already in his Galus Kaviochel Pnimius of Arich already. It's already Chochmas Shebeketzer. Nonetheless, Davki in Moichas Timoa is the whole Gila of the Pnimius Ha'oinig, the whole that's what we've been learning that now for about 3.5 oisias now. That's the Maila of Moichas Timoa.
Moichas Timoa is inside of the Gulgol.
Yeah. Moichas Timoa means the Inya from Moyach. No, it means the Inya from Moyach, how it's in the Inya from Keser, the Inya from Ari. Gilgulta is the Inya from Rotzen outside to Ari. But that's higher. Gilgulta is higher than the Inya from Moyach. You follow? That's what we've been saying. The whole great Chiddush is that even though the Moyach is underneath Kaviochel, it's a lower Madregan than the Inyan HaGilgulta, nonetheless that's the Amitis HaOinig. The Amitis HaOinig is Davki Moichas Timoa. For Elo, the Gilgulta is indicatory of the Inyan from Rotzen. That's the Madrega of Rotzen. You got that there? So that's what we said.
And I learned about Arba Mochim, that we have Arba Mochim, we have Chachma, Bina, V'Dad.
Yeah. So we're talking here. We're talking here about the union from Moichin. Moiches Timor means Chachma. It's the union of Chachma, not Bina, but not Dad. It's in from Chachma, but it's how it's still called in the union of Keser, in the union from Arik. But we say that Davki in that is the Gila Pnimis Atik, the higher Madrega, which is a Mitis Amaki Val Kulam, is Nimtza, Nimsha, Davki into the Moiches Timor, where Ilu, the Golgotha, is only Makabara Haora Chitenis from there. So, and that's what we were mazed. That was the whole big Pelin, the whole big Tmiyah. Hachanapin, that's what we were mazed. The Davki in the union of Chochmas Timor, Davki there's the Gila Pnimis Atzmis Oinik. You're in the union from Golgotha. So the union from Golgotha being the union of Rotzain, that's what he was mazed of there. Perek Kuf Tzadik Gimel. That the union from Rotzain is not Teifas Mokim Legabe the Pnimis Oinik. And he explained over there, Rabbi, that he didn't mean here there Tfis Mokim. What we mean is not Teifas Mokim is that the union of the Oinig is called Kach Ikri be Indian there that the Rotzain Kilo fades into the background. And the Ikar were concerned in the Pnimis Oinig with what does the Pnimis Oinig go for. And the Pnimis Oinig goes for the Shabbos Yisrael. So once you get in there, then you remind Kaviochel, the father, about his kinder, and he said, listen here, this is your kinderlach, this is your yiddelach. So they said, over there, it's at my pnimis, ve'achmis oinig, I want only them, and I want them the way they are, even if they've been, choser, chas v'sholim, in the minyan harotzen, which is the minyan hamitzvos. Nonetheless, I want them, and they're mine, I want them back, and all the rest of it. So then the minyan harotzen just has to follow suit, because since the pnimis oinig says that this is what we want, then the rotzen has to follow suit. Pirush Hadorah, the rotzen then has to fix up, it has to come back again in such a way that it'll sort of be matakin all the things that were Peseda mitad eizeshu inyonim that weren't lefi harotzen, which means that the inyan harotzen is nimshuk mechodah, and that's the famous piyur that occurs in many drushim, drushim from the Alter Rebbe, that we see that one of the ways that you forgive a person, that you reinstate him in your so-called good books, is that when you were angry with him, that your rotzen was kilo nelam mimeno, mistalik mimeno. The Indian of the gila of your conciliation with him is dafki the gila of the rotzen michadash. So it's mavur, but that's a much deeper factor which is functioning the hainu the oinig, that somehow or another you've been mechadish your oinig and your misanig olov k'moshe be make them. What is nimshach harotzen to him to be makarev him, to be mishyachas to him in all inyonim pratim b'der harotzen. In that part, the rotzen only does those inyonim mitzad the gila ha'oinig mechodash. When I say mechodash, ha'eseirus of that gila ha'oinig. And if I said that, that's a pshat. That ain't a rotzen teifus mokim. He was masber over there that he doesn't mean it's not teifus mokim in the sense that the head there tvisus mokim. It's a great Indian the rotzen. Over the Indian ha'oinig, it's just so immense at that point that the rotzen literally has to stand aside, as you might say. Okay, nimshuk mishom slichas ha'ah aveinos. In other words, that the slicha of the aveinos comes from there, because David said, these are my kila, these are my neshames, and these are the ones I'm misanig in. In Vamela, everything else just has to follow suit, and that's the actual slicha. Gamli is a rotzen chitonius, v'ina pnimi al kein nimshuk mishom harotzen michadash, shezeu in milu apagam. But the etzem slicha, the etzem agreement, as you might call the etzem, to call it veloshen, the etzem achlota, that we're going to forgive them and they're going to be reinstated. That's mitzad the oinig. And then in Bamil, it's all been what you might call agreed on. Then we just say, okay, Rotzen, you just go down now, and you'll sort of fill up all the pagavim. you'll sort of correct on your way down. And that's why we say it's a Rotzen Hadash, because the old Rotzen has been Nivgam. As far as the Rotzen is concerned, wait a minute, I got all these Pagamim. So now we give the Rotzen a whole new Chayil and a whole new brand, in the sense that he's Nimshuf. After there's been this Hachlata in the Pnimis HaOineg. It says there's already been the Hachlata, then everything just follows. So, Rachmani Nitran Hoya Rosia, Vein Chashev, Al Habdil Bilyone Havdoles, Mea Chodesh L'Tachlis HaChoyel, L'Tachlis HaHeder HaKedusha. That's what we see. At the meeting down there on the Shara Moshe, against the Tuas, Rachmani Nitran, why are they meeting? The big notes, it's already been Mukhlat, Kwa Hukhlat, Kola Aïnyonim, Kola Viturim, Kola Rachmani Nitran, Advorim Shi'iyu. אף שכל הדברים ביומים האחרונים הוכיחו שאי אפשר, וזה מסוכן בסכנת נוירואית להתעסק איתם, אף בכן כבר הוחלט. Therefore, the big notes just come together to schmeichel one or the other, because it's all been הוחלט. כבר הוחלטו כל העניינים. Well, they say you just go down there and fix everything up. That's it. That's a dova ki masukah. Whenever you hear that they say that there's going to be a what they call a pisko, the plane is going to show some when plane makshumai, then you have to realize that that's gul pita. That's a sign it's all with buklat, so sakum, sukam, and this in the end, it's a plus the fact that you're going to be paying out of your taxes now several billions a year into the pockets of them Russia, or he's mushba. They believe kol shinoi b'hashpa also, to wipe you out of the face of the earth. And after it became, you're going to be paying a lot of your taxes. Boy, Bisman, what they say in the Medina, they don't have any money, not for poor people, not for the same, not for the ultra mention. Nicht for keinem, warum say Gornish can get. Everybody has to tighten his belt, and everybody wants to pay huge taxes, and we took Gornish, and keine all the kids what Eladim have all been cut away to nothing. All that comes to the Yamach Shemoinik, Mamish, the Etzum devil alone, the Etzum Satan, Biatzmai, Fareh must a million, and to give him billion. Meshach Kolashon, where's it going to come from? Out of your pocket. Nicht from the Gvirim. The Gvirim give them good. And all the privilegiarium and all the mentions that obey you even in good positions. They pay us good. It's the portion to mention. As AVD. Du tells the other, does, die was given, they maximenig all the millionen, and all the Yidden, and all the other, with the elder mention, with the kinder, and that's it. They can't go. I feel the Chayalim with all the kinder. Where you? Oh, the amazing thing is that all the people in the Medina are also the Miwashim. You see, they've been so much clear to get through. People say, oh, yes, it's a bit of, but we don't have any choice. No, ain't Marasa, ain't brother. It's a quite gear of Matzavim Kele, it's quite ain't lots of homes, I feel like the room is on there. So I heard from my taxi driver, he drove a big rope somewhere the other day. I agree, sir. He said to me, look at the matter. That's so much. אנחנו רק אמריקה. מה שאמריקה אומר לנו, אין לנו ברירה. הם אומר, אין לך, יש לנו שתיים, מה נעשה? So you should know it's whenever I hear these Pisca meetings, the earth still nice that you could possibly hear. That is the similar key Masuka. That's a sign that everything is Huchla. Aber mir said the Rebbe that Ali Day the Indian from Pnim is so einig. Rahman in Islam have doing billions of dollars in the Indian from Kedusha. You understand? In Pnim is so einig, it's already been Huchla. In Pnim is so einig, they have said it's my Yidden. And I want him, you know. I've got a Rotzen, you stay on the side for a bit, you know, Shalom Aleichem Rotzen. You know, you take it easy, you're a very powerful Indian, but you're not as powerful as my Indian. And then when the Oinigs fixed it all up, and then okay, Rotten, now you just start over again. You're a bit of a new Rotten, you got new hires, you go down and you fix it all up. Doesn't even know. Time is too high for them. Time is, all I have is my Yidden, you Rotten, you gotta fix it up. So Rotten says, okay, here we go, it fixes everything up, polishes it all up, all the way down the line. And we start all over again. And this is a moment from Sukkot, so it's the right time to be discussing solche inyanim. Edify, said the Rebbe.
The union of Tzvais Tanya, V'nir Tzalo.
V'nir
Tzalo.
V'nir Tzalo, yeah, V'nir Tzalo, L'chaper Olo. Yeah, the Nir Tzalo, that's in the time. Yeah. L'chaper Olo, this is in the road. Yeah. Very nice, Masha. Omnam, says the Rebbe, moving me to the Biyut Gimel Tchuni Dikne Mayema Hus Va'atzmus Bechinas Atik. Say, says the Rebbe, we're not talking Stamazoi. It follows that Amshocha, which fixes everything up, is really the Yud Gimel Mitzvah Horachamim, and that's connected with the union of the Rotzen Michodah. Yes, so the Rebbe said, come to us, that it's only a ha'ora, but it's a ha'ora mi'atzmus atik. The ha'ora is atik, meya ba'arotzen gamkein. V'im kein masha miyut kimotim yadunna, nimshut mile apagamim, zeu mipnei shemeya b'hem b'chinas mohus va'atzmus atik. Yeah? In other words, the Yud Gimel Tkune Dikno, Einach Hanami, they're only a Hishgalas from their minion, al der minion from Rotzen. Yeah, it's like the Rotzen Achodah. Of a Sof, it's coming from the Hoiroa of Pnimis Atik. Who's giving the whole, what you might call, Hoiroa, and who's making the whole, the Chifa in the Indian, that it should be Nimshah, but even because there's a Pnimis Atik, and the Rebbe calls it Mahus Va'atzmus Atik. And that's what we saw earlier. You had Pnimis Atik, who Pnimis Abba, what we typed up was Moichas Timor, a Pnimis Atik Mami. In Ahim Kain, Mashem Yud Gimel Tchuni Dikna Nimshach Milu Apagamim Zeu Mipnei Shemeya Behem B'chinas Motan V'ikam Shocha Zu the B'chinas Atzmus Atik Hu B'mazel V'neitzer Chesed Lo Alofim. Now here's a Chiddush Ukedeisa that the Iker is in the mazel V'neitzer. Now we're going to see that that's connected to Dafke with Yidden, and that's how we're going to spring back to the whole beer and the Indian from Pnimis Atik in the Oinig Amiti is Mitzat Yidden. It's Mitzat the fact that the Eivish is God is Neshamas. Ukedisa be Idra Zutra. In the Idra Zutra, that's right near the end of the Zohar Kodesh. Daf Reish Peites. It's right near the completion of the Zohar. Omid Beis. Bahai Mazlo. Hainu Tikkun Aches. Hai Mazlo is referring to one of them in particular, because all of them together are called Yud Gimel Mazolos. But here he's talking about one in particular. So the Rebbe said that the pshat in the Zohar over there is that he's talking about the Tikkun Aches. And the Tikkun Aches, according to the Arizal, is V'noitzer Chesed L'alof. Yud Gimel Tuna, that Shishu Mazel V'noitzer Chesed. He said, Poshit Pshitusa de Kutra Iloa. He said that's literally the bringing out, or the gilui of the Kesher Elyon. Kutra Iloa means literally Kesher Elyon. Ha'u Reisha, the whole ration, or that Kesher Iloa, well, that is the Reisha of all ration, it's the head of all heads. The lo yish yada v'lo yish tamida. What that means, what we call Reisha de lo yish yado, and Reisha de lo yish yado is Pnimis Atik Ma. Begin kach kula behind mazala talio. So he said, due to that fact that the emes gilui of the kesher ilah, which is Pnimis Atik, is dafki in the mazel of noitzer chesed, dafki in the Indian from mazel haches is kula behind mazala talio. All of it is kila dependent in that mazel. Dafki in the tikkun of the Yud Gimel Tikunim, the noitzer chesed, that's like the ikar and what you might call the balabos over all of the Sharia Tikkuni Dikna. And after that, everything is dependent. and the Gila of Reisha Deloy Yado is Dafki in Venator Chesed. So Asa told the Shaila. Should have put a Shaila where these guys are driving around, you know. Where are they coming from, where are they going? But anyway, he said there was a Rebbe, Hainu, Bahainu, the Bechinas Pshitas Kesher Elyon. So here he's touching the word Pshitas, meaning the Pshitas of it. In other words, the Etzem Nekudas Aposhut of the Kesher Elyon, Shuhu Bechinas Reisha Deloyis Yado, Nimshach Umeyer Bechinas Dikna Bechlal, Bat B'mazel V'nei Tzeir Bifra. The Lochein Chulu Minei Talyon. It's killed that all the other Yud Gimel, all the other Yud Beis Tikkunim are totally and they're Nimshach through the union of Neitzer Chesed. Uma V'hinei, so said the Rebbe, Ma Asher Reisha Lo Yisrael Nikra Kesher Elyon. Yeshleima Shalidei Zeh Hu Iskashus Atzmus Ein Seif Im Oilames V'Ishtalz. Now it's interesting, this Lashon Kutri Ilua, the Kesher Elyon, it's well known that in Tzitzis, in the Inif and Tzitzis, we have the Lashon in the Gemara, when they get to the Tzitzis, Kesher Elyon. What Kesher Elyon is the first Kesher that you tie when you put the Tzitzis into the Beged. And that's the Ika Kesher Min HaTorah. Because Min HaTorah, all the different, chulias and that we make on the tzitzis are not really Min HaTorah, they're all just different minhagim. If you just tied the tzitzis in, the right number of tzitzis, they were made the right way and they were kosher tzitzis. If you just tied one kesher and just had them hanging, then they would be din doiraisa, you've already been yoytei. So that's what's called a kesher elyon midoin deraisa. So here we see that the Zohar uses that expression kutra iloa. In other words, a kutra iloa, that's like how the Eibishter ties himself, or he allows himself to be tied up with the Seder Hishtalsel, with all the Olamas and all the Giluim, which are going to be Eliachim Mizeh. Just like we see that by the tzitzis, it's well known, the famous diuk, that you can't make tzitzis from the beged. You can't just pull out a few pieces out of the already sewn beged and just hang them on your beged and make them stick out a bit, and they'll be the tzitzis. Well, the tzitzis have to be kilo adova nifar or nivdal mina beged, and you tie them bekesher elyon into the beged. So the same thing here, the inif and the oilamas and the ishtausas, that's not mamish atzmusa yizborach. But he makes a kesher, he literally ties himself up to these inyanim alidei kesher elyon. That's what the Zohar calls a kutra iloa. So the Rebbe says, what is this union of kutra iloa? So he says, shalidei zeh hu iskashus atzmus ein seif im oilamas veish Ishtaushelas pick the Zevi, the Kesher Elyon makes the Kesher between the Tzitziyas and the Etzem Beged. So here there's Kilo a Kesher between all the Oilamas, V'Ishtaushelas, what Oilam means Adova Shel, Helem or Nifrad, and it's tied up literally with Atzmus Ein Seif. In other words, that the Eibush has to start somewhere. He's got to show some gilu from himself where he has a shaykhus to the whole inyan. So Emes, he's already made a tzimtzum and he's already made all sorts of inyanim. Of a sof, it's all coming from him. So there must be some point where he directly relates to the whole asik. You can't just say the Emes just runs away from everything and it just sort of happens from him. The tzimtzum took a header. So therefore, once there's been a certain, what you might call arrangement, alidei certain inyanim, milamayla, then the Eibishter himself, how he's still mamish identifiable as the Atzmas, makes a kesher and ties himself together with everything which is going to be called later on his worlds, his historians and his creation. So the Rebbe does it, a pshat kesher elyon, that's kaviyoche, how the Atzmas, albeit he's already been through certain derivations till he reaches the inyan fanatic, but nonetheless he's still Atzmas ain't safe. And that's the union of kesher, that he ties himself and involves himself. Atzmas, one of the biurim, the word atik, that he literally moves himself over. Hatoka means to move over, like it's written by the Ovis several times, by Yatek Mishom Oy Haloi, that he moved his tent over there. Yeah? So the same with Hatoka. Hatoka means, like the word copying, can also be in Hatoka, that you move to the same thing from there over there by copying it. It means literally that it moves to a certain extent. Partially, it's mitzias from there to there. That's the union of hatokas, ha'atzmas, that the atzmas goes down and he causes himself a joining up connection with the element. V'im kein hari bozeh hu iskashus ein seif im ha'olam. So that's fine, that the word hatoka is tying in nicely. V'hagam, now here's a really pillar de kapitz. V'hagam, da'ati ku shene'atak v'nivdo mishtalza. We touch, just like we just touched it, the first we touched atik for hatoka, meaning a reader. What are you doing here, my sir?
Take a check.
Huh?
Take a check.
I won't take a chair. You just worked out now at this time when I just need a chair.
The other room.
Huh? No, but haven't they supposed to be in the other room already quite some time ago?
Yeah, then we moved into a colder room.
Are you moving to a colder room?
Because out of the
Okay. All right.
Sorry.
I didn't quite understand the toast, but anyway, maybe I did. It's Imam Eva. Ik kom thuis. We have to learn that if you have to be adequate. Slichas kol havenas, tell you don't no pagamim or nothing. Everything just has to be completely swept away. Edify said that but just like you teach me that atik can mean hatokas ha'atzmas, you're going down into the kesher with the Ishtal. It's well known that the word atik also has the other pirush, ne'atach v'nivdal. Just like you can say that a thing went over here, you can also say it's left here and went over there. And therefore the word vayatek can also mean he left where he was and he went someplace else. In other words, that he's moved on from where he was. The word hatok here can also mean ne'atach v'nivdal, and that's how we talk and teach it sometimes. Never said in Cain that the word atik means ne'atach v'nivdal from the Ishtalshus, not tied up with the Ishtalshus. Adin is burly or perikuf tzadik vav. The atzmas ein seif ein a begeder. Hatoka mi Ishtalshus kamkei. I don't know if you guys remember, if you ever do any chazor, but that's how we learned over there. That the Rebbe said that the atzmas of the Eibishter, I feel that the atzmas are it's just so moved off from saying the Ishtalshus that you can't say that it's begeder separation. Because by regular, you say that something is in a form of separation from something, then you imply a certain connection between them. Just that, how do you call it? It's playing it high. It's separate, but the very fact that it's separate implies that it does really have a certain kesher or error. And therefore, the immediate sin of an atzmas ain't safe, then he's not begeder even hatoket in the sense of different. But havdolah from Ishtalshul, it's kam kain. Ukeshanasa b'chinas atik is a begeder hatoka alcohol upon him. Once it comes into atik, however, it is in that form of separation. Im kain hari b'zeh shenetach v'nivdal mishtalzus hari b'chinas iskashus b'ishtalzus. It's an amazing shot. The Rebbe said that the two pirushim in the word atik mamish linked together. Because it's ne'atach v'nivdal. Ne'atach v'nivdal. That's a sign that's already come down to some form of comparison stated. You're already being, mashbeh zeh lezeh. It's like a muvdal of a regular, what you say, that it's already bahatochim, we say the Ishtalshus. It's already got a shaychus to Ishtalshus. Even that gufa is the form of the Ishkashut. In the kesher, herzut the Abdullah, it forms a kesher of in that gufa is felt the union of the atochim. It's kilo like shnei almost hafochim benoise echa. It's a very gishmach abiyah. der eine begeht Atoche mischt ausgegangen, okay? Schon als beginnen sie Artig, alle sie begeht Atoche aufgebracht. In kein Harry besessen Nertag, wenn nicht da mischt ausgegangen, alle you beginnen sie Kaschus, mischt ausgegangen. Das haben wir nicht gesagt. וביימס יש לומר, the Ikais Kaschus, who ben Neshomas Yisroel. Oh, in other words, wie kommt das? If he's taking Nertag, yeah, Emes, he's already got a shaykhs if he's Nertag, or so if he's Nertag. Yeah, you're saying he's distant. It was a pshat that Afal Pekin he's there. Afal Pekin he's there. So the Rebbe said that's because of the Neshomas. In other words, that the Neshomas, yeah, they're like, hey, and they call it a chip off the old block. How's the expression? How it? Yeah, that they're also part of that Atzman. Yeah, how do you say? Me nimlop and ishmesem shal tzadikim and the whole riches. They're really part of him. And Mamela, since they're part of him, they're literally that which expresses both the opposite. On the one hand, they're part of him, how he is Nertach. Obviously, so of Nishomet, what in Yonim is, after all, to be nimchat into the whole, what you might call kaboodle of the arena into Elam V'Sokol, so that's their whole, but they still remain part of him, as it were. Then they're like the link which brings the Atoka of the Atzmus into the Nertach. I take Mishom oil into the Iskashus with the Ishtals. In other words, the Nishamas are like what you might call the Emes Kesher point. They tie the Kesher with the Atzm. In other words, they're like the Etzm Kesher Atzmon is the Neshama. It's an amazing point.
It can't be Hataka with Atzmus.
Yeah?
Hataka shows on Iskashus.
Yeah, the Hataka shows the Iskashus, but Sokosot Hataka also indicates the Havdalah. So what causes those two things unite? After it's a Nivdal, after becomes Makusha, those are the Neshamas, because the Neshamas on the one hand, they are Chelik Me'atzmas, Mamish, but on the other hand, their union is to be Yer Miskala into Elamas. Remember, it's literally the Eibishter's Oineg in his Neshamas, and his Kavanah in them. In the Nishamas, well, that causes that the Afapisha Netach, nonetheless, take Mishom, it becomes Makusha with the Seder HaElemus. In other words, what you might call the catalyst that makes it all work is the Nisham. I mean, that's an amazing point. So therefore he says, Nishamas Yisrael, Zeh Mashi Ikam, Shocha Hu B'Mazel V'Noitzer, Liyesh Mazolas V'Noitzer V'Nakei, Hein Mazolas to Nishamas Yisrael. I must admit I'm not familiar exactly where that Mokimacha is, but if you look in the Pesukim, in the Yud Gimel Mitzvah Rachim are in the Torah, so look it up and you'll see that Rashi says over there, V'Noitzer Chesed. The Rashi says, what does Noitzer Chesed mean? He said that the Eibush literally guards the Chesed, what the mensch does for him. Look it up and you'll see. Not the Noitzer Chesed, the Eibush is Chesed. Rashi learns that Noitzer Chesed, that the Eibush guards, or that Chesed, what the mensch does with him. In other words, the mensch does his will, or the Eibush literally guards that adli all of him. If remember, we see that the word Noitzer Chesed is talking about how the Eibishter makes the Neshamas, the whole Mechutim. They're the one that cause him to have the whole care about the union of the world. At least they taught in Rashi.
And Nakeh also.
Nakeh. Rashi brings over the Nakeh who, Manakeh who, L'shovim, V'einam Manakeh, L'einam Shovim. Oib the Neshamas come back to him. That's the whole meaning of the Yud Gimel the Dikta. Well, the Ike slavers of the whole Amshach is in the K. That's like, Manaki Hula Shovim, Einam Manaki Einam Shovim, or Oib Shovim. Where's the Yid that he's not Shovim? Kimat Nishtor Zaman Zod. Remember, it Nimtzah Lefi said that the two Inyonim of Noitzer and the K, they're connected with the power and the tremendous importance and the yoika of the nishamas in the whole, what you might call Ma'arechas Inyonim, the whole Iskalas of all the Inyon in the nisham. And those state in those two bituyim, V'Noitzer Chesed Unakei. The Rebbe Lafizeh kommt that in those two, Yeah, Hein Mazolos to Neshamas Yisrael. Zehu Ein Mazel Yisrael. He said, now we understand the Lashon of the Gemara that Ein Mazel Yisrael. Da Pirush Usho Ayin Hu Mazal Yisrael. In other words, don't say Al Tikrei Ein Mazel Yisrael. No, Tikrei Ayin Mazel Yisrael. Yeah, that the Ayin, that is the Mazel Yisrael. It's actually one on tight. It's not only in Chabad Chassidus that you'll find that time. בספרים אחרים גם כן יש ביור כזה, not ein mazel Israel, יש mazel Israel, but by all others the mazel is a mazel inside each house. By Yidden the mazel is ayin, the etzem ayin alone, that is the mazel. And he said that ayin hu amazal, hu p'chinas ayin o atzmi, the p'chinas pnimius atik. In other words, that the neshamas are so dear that they cause the etzem is chavers of the ne'atak with the vayatek. They make from the ne'atak the vayatek. Yeah, and as we begin the pnimis atik, shemalubash, b'mazel v'neitzer. Dafki b'mazel v'neitzer, dort in pnimis atik. Because the Abbas is more concerned about his yidden than all other inyonim. Idach if he's concerned with Yidden more than all other inyonim, it's ni. Isn't that?
Shiad now.
Oh, I told Mazel v'neitzer. Yao Shem Zeh Nikra Kutra Iloa Bamela. That's why it's called Kesher Elyon. Because Kesher shows that Sokosot is a certain, like we said, the tzitzis have to be put into the beggar. They're to a certain extent muvdolim a beggar. Avo inyonim is to be mamish bakusha with the beggar. That's the Indian of the neshamas, like the Alter brings over there in the Geras HaKodesh, that the neshamas are nimshu, but even goes there that they're kwayotzu v'nifradu. That's their whole Indian. And like he's mad, but certainly we'll see in an amazing piece which he'll bring you probably just prior to the scene with the Shia. We'll see that the Indian of the Amshocha, the neshamas lamata, is dafke that they should be, even from Helem Masuya. If they're like the tzitzias and they're the medium in which is tutzat their kesher earlier. Shuinyan eish kasher starts from saying save, shenish kasher kaviyoch b'neshamas Yisrael. They have to buy and bound himself up with Yidden. And how's the expression in the Gemara? Garish is over his state. He can't do it. He can't do it. Because he's bound up. And the hexter Indian for days, Kashas Atzmas, with the whole Indian. If I remember Kaviyog, if the Aves wanted to change the Yidden, he'd have to start all over again. He'd have to go all the way back to the Mokim Shur, but the whole caboodle would start all over again. Because they're who lost it. Why? Because he circles up. The Yidden are good. So that's a pilly plus when I'm shot. It nimsa the whole kasher, the whole Indian that makes that kasher early, the whole Indian that makes ati. Koriv, Reish, how do you call it? Reish called Oilams, well, that's the Nishomas. They're like the kesher early. They're like tie the kesher. They make the kesher. They're like the dova, kasher bein telazeh. That's the gezach. And himsa, that wherever you go, the Nishomas are the ikar. Without them, the whole thing doesn't have any clip. Davkidina from the Nishomas. And in that respect, the Nishomas are even kaviyochu higher than the Torah. In other words, the Torah is only their way of bringing out their shlichas b'toich ha'olam. That's the Indian. If I remember, the Tnayei ha'shlichas and the Protei ha'shlichas are the Indian ha'mitzvah. Of a shluchas shalom ke, kamoisim, but the Nishomas alone, they are mamish carrying out the etzeminion of the Eibishter. Me'anit, that he sent them down, and even that they become a dover, nifrad kaviyochol mimeno. So that's one pshat. Gam yesh loima, we can say another pshat, kutra iloah, the nishkasha bozeh kol ha'atzmas te'ein sei baruch hu. In other words, not we need something to be makasha him, Yeah, not that it's killed through the nishamas, but we get to say that that's the etzem pshat of the word kutra, that's kilu a kaviyohu in elikus itself. In other words, that the Eibishter can do that also. He can be on the one hand he's etzem, on the other hand he can be makusha with atik, and he can be makasher himself with the elamas kilu minayube, had he got inside his own self, with his own koya. In other words, not through the medium of something else, which is the neshamas, but mitzad atzma. The imay shezo rak bechinas tachtuina sheba atzmus mikol mochim benakuda zu makasher kol atzmas. Even though it's only bechina tachtuina sheba atzmas, in that is bound up the whole caboodle, what you might call the whole real McCoy, to use these vernacular expressions, the etzeminion of the atzmas. So now, how can that be? How does that get together? The al derech she'omru, well, it's one of the Baal Shem Tov said that, and the Baal Shem Tov brought it in the name of Rabbeinu Sadia HaGoyen, by the way, as they bring it. Kesher Shem Tov, Kishato Teifes b'miktas mino etem, ata Teifes b'chuloi. If you are Teifes miktas from the etem, then you're Teifes the whole etem. Ve'inyan miktas mina etem, hainu b'chinas achreina sheba atzmas. V'ayin mashi is bu'al yiyo perik, at the bottom they give you, what is the perik? It's perik erev. Reish iron base, perik erev. Shebazeh makusha kol atzma. In other words, this is only a second shot. So, what does he mean by this? Shata Toifes.
This is lekaman.
Huh?
That's further on.
Man.
Further on, this is explained.
Oh yeah, that's later on in the Hemshah. And we'll soon mention what's written over there briefly. So just very briefly, the Zaki is that Loshen is a very amazing Loshen, B'etzema Amuvan Shaloi. Shata Toifes. I mean, who had to be Toifes? I mean, what do you mean Toifes here? Ata Toifes B'miktas Mina Etzem, Ata Toifes B'chulei. And later, what is Shine to say in a Etzem, Miktas Mina Etzem? What is it Shine? You can't talk about a Miktas Mina Etzem, because Etzem is built in Mischalik, and built in, how do you call it? Nimshach, built in Mischalik. Etzem is not divided into Chalokim. Etzem is Etzem B'tachlis Shapshit is what the Etzem is. What is Pshat? Chelik min Etzem. And therefore he says, B'china Tachtuina Sheba Ma'atzil, he said that is the union of Miktas Etzem. And Mamela says it's Miktas, it's Kol Etzem. What did that help me? So I say, B'china Tachtuina Sheba Ma'atzil, it's like as if I'm just moving into another pair of shoes, Instead of saying Miktas Min Etzem, I say Tachtoina Sheba Ma'atzil. I mean, Ma'atzil means the Eibush himself. That's Tachtoina Sheba Ma'atzil. So you're going to say it's only a Ha'ora Mimenu. Then if it's a Ha'ora, then it's not the Etzem. So if you look up over there in Perik Erev, whatever can mean sweet, by the way. And maybe it can also mean Le'esh Erev Yeh Oyer. Mamish in the last darkness, the last minute of the Golos, and there'll be tremendous Iskalas of the Emes Oyer of Malkeinu Meshechenu Melech HaMashiach. So over there, if you look carefully, the Rebbe brings over there the union of the Neshomas again. He gets into the Neshomas, and he says that the Neshoma is Mamish Agil with the Etzem Adam, when the Adam is Moilid Benoi, then he's Moilid Mamish with the Musa, with Salomon, and he gives him V'yofi Koyach Haben Mikoyach Ha'am. So it's one on the Pshat that Yofi Koyach Haben, and that's with the Av. That comes with the Av. Why? Because the Av gives Kola Etzem Shalom. He gives the Ganze Etzem, and therefore all the Ben has to do is just work very, very hard, and he can get anything you like. So he can get to the greatness of his father and incomparably more, because the whole Etzem is there. If I remember, was it a Pshat over there? When since it's Nimshut, or in Gashmi, Yeah, the zivug is a inyan Gashmi, and seems to a tip of Gashmi, the whole inyan. Yeah, well, it's nimshach alidei adova hamalim kilo. You don't see the whole etzem of the Adam in the Dova HaNimshach, which is the tip of V'chulei V'chulei. It's Nimshach alidei adova hamisalim, or adova hamalim ala etzem. The etzem is misalim. It's not so proper to say malim ala etzem. No, it's better to say that the etzem is misalim. In that inen, kein nirali, it's yoter nochon. Lomar kacha. And so the Rebbe says over there, what happens is that a mensch, yeah, he's just got to face Yegiya in order to get to, because it came through a Dovagas. There's Dvarim which are Malim Oma, Mastimim, and particularly there could be that he said the Hoyrim didn't give him the best, Levushim. No, that's what the Alter brings in town, that you need the Levush of the Hoyrim. Yeah, in order to get this, but he said, "Sokos the lavush is only a lavush, and the etzim is still there. The etzim is the etzim of what it is. Just that if he's got very, very egel lavush, it would be easier for him to get to the etzim. But Sokos the etzim is there. I know what the Gemara says that Banam shall Talmid Chachamim lav dafki, that they're always Talmid Chachamim. He said that's mitzad the helam, mitzad the lavush. Yeah, ask me sometimes. Yeah, the Abish can want for some reason known to him that lavush should be a lavush gas. Not mitzad that part's hard to say, it's mitzad the hoirim, but this proof is a whole inyan was nimshach no maila. But that's all mitzad the inyan, the vorim amalim, k'moy gashmi so inyan, and that. So the Rebbe says that the inyan for mitzvahs min ha'etzem is how the etzem itself is misalim. It's mitalem b'inyonim musiyomim ha'mafsikim bein kol lahakor as ha'etzem. You're not really makid all etzem, because it's like a dova. That's a pshat mitzvahs min ha'etzem. Oh, but really, it's the whole etzem. It's not the whole etzem. It's only mitzvahs min ha'etzem, l'gabi de what you might call the observer or the makabel, because there's been like dvarim in which the etzem is misalim. Remember the same here. When we say that bechina taktoina shebamatzil, well, that's chelik min ha'etzem. We don't mean that it's been mitchalek into marshal. We mean that the inyan, that the Abish Kaviyov has been mislavish here in a certain helim, a certain lavush. And that's what we mean by Bechina Taktoyin Sheba B'Ma'atzil. That's the whole beer. I mean, if it's Mamish Atzma Sein Seif K'moy Shehu, then why do you have to call it Atik? I mean, just call him Atzma Sein Seif. It wasn't the Hebel, Ben Zela, Ela, that the Atzma himself, the Atzma Sein Seif, is Kilu mistater in a certain lavush, and that's what's called the inyan of atik. Therefore, it becomes a inyan which makes it somewhat shy to say the ishtal. So that's what causes it being completely and utterly out of all comparison, and brings it down somewhat. Oh, but that's not a dova hamalim, a dova hadikot, which is only a ha'ora. It doesn't cause it to be only a ha'ora. It's the same etzem, but it's misalim in this inyan of alavush hamachshit, boiven dak moving of alchoponim is machshit. And therefore that's called the inyan for chelik mena etzem. Remember, these two purushim are amazing purely. One purush is that the whole inyan is the neshamet. The other purush is that the Eibishter does it himself, that he himself causes his own self not to be nika al ad kedikach, al ideshu humitalem, and that's called miktas min ha'etzem. Oh, not the pshat miktas min ha'etzem is that he's given a piece of himself. No, miktas min ha'etzem means the whole etzem, but it's been misalem, yeah, b'dova ha'mafsik. That's what he means, and therefore he said, "Ma'bezer makusha kol ha'atzmas benimtza, but the yud gimel tkuni tikner b'chlal u'b'mazel v'neitzach chesed b'frat nimtza bezer mahus b'chinas atik mami." Sure. So now he goes on with another shot, and we'll do it at Be'ez Hashem in future episodes. Be'ez Hashem in the coming week we'll finish off the nail. It's another delicate shaila, and we're getting close. But what can we do? We have to be misalim in a certain lavush, miktas min ha'etzem. We should do it at the moyan dikipiyunim. Just the moyan dikipiyunim. The whole etzem is the shalit. It's the korah. It's all the neshama. According to one beer, it's all really the neshamas are making the whole thing first. And the kutra ilua, that which is kasha, the kutra ilua, the neshama. The second pshat is no, he does it himself. He gives you his whole soul. Unoten לך את כל העצם שלו. That's a pshat mitzvah מן העצם. אומר, it's a moyon dik a piyur. When you think about it, was it tach the pshat mitzvah מן העצם? מה הפiyur בלושן זה? What does it mean mitzvah מן העצם? And that's a pshat, not mitzvah. It's the whole etzem. But it's misalim in a certain levush. You don't get the whole etzem b'goloi, but if you get there and you do what the etzem wants, as it were, then you get the whole etzem.